In a previous video, we finished designing our truss and running a simulation on it, and we got to the point where our lowest positive buckling mode, here we were at buckling of 51, is greater than 1, indicating that the truss, with the material properties we gave it, is likely to withstand the load. So now we're going to come back to our design environment, and we're going to build the nodes that go around it, and we're going to reinforce well, not reinforce, but lengthen the long members, join them together so that members longer than uh, the single individual bamboo barbecue skewer can be glued together with a 3D printed piece. Okay, so it's a really good idea right now just to hit save. You can see I've done that already, but every time you save it, it saves it as a new version. So in the event that you screw something up along here, you're not going to, you're going to follow the video, it's all going to work out fine. But in the event something goes sideways, you've got a saved version on here. Okay, so now we've got our truss. It's all put together right here. And what I'm going to do is in my list over here in the top left-hand corner, I'm going to turn the truss that I just spent all that time building off and make sure that under sketches, I've got my sketch, that wireframe that we originally created, turned back on. Because remember how we built the original truss with pipes? We're going to do the exact same thing all over again, but this time with 10mm diameter pipes. These are going to form the outside of our 3D printed parts. Okay, so we've done this before. Great pipe. It's going to be a little bit boring here. And when we make the first one, like I'm going to pick this right here, and you can go ahead and pick all these ones just going around the outside at the bottom here. Doesn't really matter. Just don't get too excited and hit enter just yet because beautiful. And what we're going to do is we're going to turn our section size up to 10. So this is now 10mm diameter. This is going to represent the outside of your 3D printed part. And instead of having join turned on, there's really nothing to join it to. We're just going to create a new body right here. And it's only for that first pipe that we're going to create a new body. After that, we're going to join everything together to it. But this is going to be a new body right here. We'll click OK. And you see it shows up right on here as body 2. And I'm just going to double click on that so that I can change the name. And I can say this is going to be the outside nodes, or whatever you want to call it. This is going to be the nodes. This is going to join everything together. Okay. And now we're going to come back to create, and this is going to be fun and exciting because we're going to create some pipes. And I'm just going to come right up here and path, pick where you want it to go, right down there. And 10mm. We don't need to use parameters on this one because this is always going to be 10mm. And again, set this operation to join. It should remember that afterwards. Okay, we've put that in there. And now we're going to go ahead and we're going to create some more pipes until we get this whole thing filled in. Make sure you're on join and 10mm. Okay, you're probably going, surely there's a quicker way to do this than just going up to create pipe every time. If you right click, there's a repeat pipe button right in there. And so right clicking will bring something up that lets you smooth this process out a little bit. That's all I'm doing right there to get these pipes in. There's those ones along the bottom. Repeat pipe. And make sure you pivot around so you can see what you're doing a little bit. Okay, double check your structure to make sure that you've got the entire wireframe covered up with 10 millimeter diameter pipe. And if you do, excellent. That's going to form the outside of your nodes and your joints for making the pieces longer, like this piece right up here. That's longer than 30 centimeters. We need to glue it together. Okay, so you've got that all done. We've got the outside nodes, and what you can do is you can turn that off to make sure you got everything covered up. Turn it back on. That's great. Um, we can turn the sketch off. We're not going to need that anymore. And we're going to turn the inside truss back on. And now that inside truss is actually sitting inside the outside nodes. Okay, and we're going to do a subtract. But before we do, you remember that we used parameters for that inside truss? So come in here to modify and come down to your change parameters. And earlier we gave it a dimension for the small skewer. We said it was going to be 3.2. Now, this is where you put in the value that you want for clearance for your nodes, and you're the one who's going to have to assemble this. So if you've got 3.2 millimeter diameter skewers, you don't want a 3.2 millimeter diameter um, hole to put them into, because by the time you account for a little bit of lack of tolerance in the 3D printer and a little bit of out of round in your 3 millimeter diameter skewer, you are not going to be happy fitting a 3.2 millimeter skewer into a 3.2 millimeter diameter hole. Now, what size you choose exactly is up to you. I'm going to go a couple tenths of a millimeter larger. In fact, I think in my testing, 3.5 worked pretty nice for this, and like 5.5 kind of worked right in here. But you might have your own favorite values, and your skewers might be slightly different from mine. So these values are kind of up to you, right? So anyway, just change those sizes, and poof, that magically changed the size of your inside skewers. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we are going to do a combine operation. Okay, and I'm going to click on combine, and my target body, I'm going to come over here and click on outside nodes, and my tool bodies is going to be the truss. It's not selecting. Okay, errors are really fun when you're recording a video. And I think I've got that sorted out, because what you're going to do is you are going to, if you run into that error and you can't select something, because you should be able to come in here and select that and just have it all light up. If that didn't work for you, just save your file and restart Fusion 360. And when you open it up, hopefully the problem's gone away. It's bug in Fusion 360, and thankfully I caught it on video, so I'm going to submit that as a bug report to the people at Fusion 360. Maybe they can help me figure out what happened there. But shutting down, restarting, and opening up might get rid of that problem for you. Anyway, we're back at where we are. Maybe you didn't have this problem whatsoever, because what we're going to do is we're going to do a combine operation. And when you pick combine, you're going to choose cut is your operation. You're going to turn off the new component. We don't want a new component here, but you are going to turn on the keep tools, because our tool body is going to be the inside truss and our target body is going to be the outside truss. So for select your target body, just come along here, and I'm just going to come over here and click on the outside nodes button. And then I'm going to come along, and for my tool body, I'm going to select truss right here. And that's going to remove the inside truss from the outside truss, leaving us with hollow space inside. Now you can turn off that inside truss, and if you come in and look really carefully in here, you can see that there's hollow space inside there. There's also some cool view options here, like if I come down to display settings, right now I've been watching shaded with hidden edges, but you could go to wireframe with hidden edges, and now you can zoom in here and you can see all the hidden lines in light gray right there. And that's the space that's left over for our inside trusses. That's where our skewers are going to go. Okay, that was display settings, and I'm just going to set my visual style back to shaded with hidden edges. They just don't show up. They are in there. They're just not showing up quite so much. on there. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure I've got sketch 1 turned back on because I need to use its geometry for a little bit because I am now going to chop away at the outside pieces here to only get the nodes that I want for gluing things together. Okay, so what I'm going to do right here is with that sketch turned on, I am going to create a sketch, and I can now click right here, and that's going to create a sketch plane right on the mid plane of this set of nodes. And I'm going to come in here and I'm going to create some circles. So I went up and grabbed the circle button, and just right at the center of a node, I'm going to go and I'm going to make this 50 millimeters in diameter. Okay, and that's how big. Let's do it 60. I want to make sure that you've got lots of room to glue everything together. 60 millimeters in diameter. That should stiffen everything up really nicely. Okay, so there we go, 60 millimeters in diameter there. And then repeat center diameter circle. That was just a right click to get that. Down at this end, we're going to do 60 right here. Repeat center diameter circle. And guess what we're going to do? We're going to do 60 right there. And I'm just going to pause my recording because I'm going to go through here, and at every node, I'm going to put a 60 millimeter diameter circle. Okay, so I went through and I added 60 millimeter diameter circles to all these nodes, and I noticed that this one got really, really close. Like that's going to be kind of ridiculous when you put your skewer in there. If you have like a node that's less than that, you're just going to have to reduce the diameter of the circle. Okay, there is one place where you can make one larger than 60. Okay, and that's going to be right out here. And this one, because the lines are so narrow, sometimes 60 isn't going to be big enough to actually hold those two parts independently. So you can take that one up to 80. And that should actually, you know what, that very end one, if it's really pointy, you can take it up to 100. Basically just big enough so that you can see some variation right in there and those start to split apart. You can't go any further than that, okay, because otherwise you're just going to have one big 3D printed thing over top of the entire thing. We won't even really have Bamboo BBQ Skewer truss. And not only that, you won't be able to fit everything onto the 3D printer. Now the other place I'm going to put a circle is right here because this piece is longer than 30 millimeters. So I'm just going to come in here and I'm going to have to bond a truss together right in there. So if you come along right there and just slide along that line, you'll see that pops up, and I'll put a 60 right there so that I can glue those two pieces together later on. And then if you're not sure how long something is, you can measure, and I'm going to measure from this point right to that point right there. I just picked up the measure tool. And again, that's longer than my longest skewer. So just hit escape to get out of the measure tool. And I'm going to have to put another member right here, slide along there. There's the middle, 60. So those two are going to get glued together. And I better inspect a couple other long ones. So again, I come up here to measure, and then I click on the middle right here and the middle right there. 281, I can get that out of one barbecue skewer. Okay, and let me measure. I should measure this one back here. It might belong to 290. That's touch and go, but you can get that out of one barbecue skewer. Given that that's a pretty critical piece, you might not want to. I think about 280 is you can get 288, but if you're over 288, you can put a joint in the middle. So I'm just going to close this. Yeah, I mean, it's up to you because it's going to be heavier if you put joins in the middle, but maybe that makes it a bit stronger. This one is kind of critical to holding the whole truss together, and you want to have good bonds at the end. So anything that's longer than about 280, go ahead, put a joint in the middle of it right there, and you should be fine. Okay, so take a look at your truss from the side and say, do I have all my nodes covered with 60 millimeter diameter circles? Do I have my super long members with a splice in the middle so that I can join them together? And do I have my hundreds down here put together like so. And if you do, that is great because we are now going to turn those into little cylinders. So click Finish Sketch right here, and then use your view cube or however you like rotating to bring it around right here. Okay, and now you've got those circles on all those places that we're going to join. And make sure right now, because of the operation we're going to do in a minute, that truss is turned off, outside nodes is turned on. You can see sketch one still on there. You can turn sketch one off for a minute. Okay, now you just got sketch two showing on there. And what you're going to do is you're going to do an extrude. Okay, and that extrude's going to come through right here. Make sure you select everything. Like some of those extrudes are going to be split apart by other lines that were on that sketch plane. So you have to come through here, and sometimes you'll get the whole thing, sometimes they'll be split. But just select the whole thing. So you see all these big blue dots coming out like so. There we go. Brilliant. Okay, now we've got a lot of options over here on extrude. We've got all our profiles selected. And what we're going to do is we're going to do a two-sided extrude so that we can give it dimensions on two sides. Now the first dimension is going to come out this way, and you can see that when I look at it, we're right down the middle there. So what we're going to do is we're going to come out 4 millimeters in that direction. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to create a new body right here. Okay, we don't want to cut, we want to create a new body right there. We came out 4 millimeters that way. And on the other side, we're going to come out 25 millimeters here, so that we're able to take a chunk of this along here. Later on, we're going to do one of those combine operations. Before we did a subtract to remove the inside. Here we're going to do an intersect to keep what remains of our outside truss. This is where those skewers are going to come from. Okay, so we've got that all on there. It's coming in as new bodies, and we'll click OK. Now, this is going to come through as a whole bunch of new bodies, but just click OK, and there you go. There's all your outside bodies right there. And that covers this side right here. Later on, we're going to do an intersect with them, but before we do, we want to do a batch of bodies like this on this side right here. So the easiest way to do this, okay, is to come in here and under construct. Oh, let's turn sketch one back on. Okay, so there's our sketch right there. Construct, and we're going to create a mid plane right in here. And I'm going to click one plane on this side. So you see that triangle lights up that side. Then I click one on that side, and poof, you can see that now I've got a middle plane has appeared right around here. That's right down the center. I'm going to say OK. And now what I'm going to do is I am going to create a mirror of all these bodies. So now I'm just going to come in here and click all these bodies. Careful not to accidentally pick up your truss. You can always click it again to undo it if you do, but you just want to pick these bodies up right here. Well, they are joined together. They're a single body. Okay. And so we are going to pick all them up because we just drew them, and we are going to mirror them about this plane right here. And yeah, we're just going to leave that as new body. And now they're all joined together right in there. And you can see what we've done right in here is because we've only brought them out 4 millimeters, but this diameter is 10 millimeters, we're going to have a little flat side remaining. You'll see what I mean by that when we do the next step. Okay, so you should have something like this with all these cylinders representing where our body is going to be. We want to make sure that truss is turned off right now because we don't want to cut away at our truss. Okay, that combine command, here we go. We're going to do combine. Okay, our target body is going to be the outside nodes. Okay, that's the part that we're going to 3D print to join everything together. Our operation is going to be intersect. Okay, we are not going to keep our tools. And now we're going to select our tool bodies. And our tool bodies are all of these right here. And you can see as I go through and select the tool bodies, what's getting left behind are going to be those nodes that we want to 3D print. It's kind of pretty, isn't it? Okay, take a look. And look at those complex shapes that you've built, customized for each side, so the nodes can follow along right there. And you'll also notice that because we only came out 4 mm this way, you've got little flat pieces on each side right there. Brilliant. Love it. Click OK. Bit of processing going on here. Okay, now look at that. There are all of our pieces left out there. They're now called outside nodes 1 through 0 through 21. And if you turn on your inside truss now, there you've got a picture of what the whole thing's going to look like when you put it all together. Okay, this is a good time to hit save because things can go wrong. If you're making it here, you're basically done.